Right now, as you breathe, as your thoughts flicker, your soul is already aligned with a specific spiritual realm. Not tomorrow, not after death, but now. And whether you realize it or not, that realm determines how far your consciousness can stretch beyond this earthly life. Welcome to Inner Fire Wisdom, the place where hidden prophecies, forgotten readings, and ancient truths converge. Before we go deeper, hit subscribe and tap the bell, because the insights you're about to hear have been buried from mainstream spiritual teaching for nearly a century. And trust me, YouTube won't serve this to everyone who needs it. Now, let's unlock what America's greatest seer, Edgar Cayce, revealed about the 7 invisible realms of the soul and the terrifying trap most humans don't even know they're in. In 1923, during a trance so deep his own stenographer trembled, Cayce described a cosmic map of 7 distinct spiritual planes. These weren't abstract ideas. They were real places of consciousness, levels of existence where souls dwell between lifetimes. But here's what shook his scribe to the core. Cayce didn't just name these planes. He explained exactly what locks you into one, and what can lift you higher before you even die. And here's the truth no one wants to face. According to Cayce, most of humanity is trapped in the lowest level of all, a dense realm he called material consciousness. A plane so thick with ego and attachment that souls can stay imprisoned there not for decades, not for centuries, but for thousands of years. In 1932, while reading for a wealthy businessman, something extraordinary happened. Mid-sentence, Cayce's voice shifted into an unearthly cadence. His eyes fluttered, and what he said next left everyone in the room frozen. He revealed that this man's soul had been circling the same plane for over 800 years, repeating the same unconscious mistake in lifetime after lifetime. Cayce himself, upon waking, had no memory of this outburst, but his stenographer, Gladys Davis, recorded every word. She later admitted she had never seen Cayce so agitated, as if even he had glimpsed something that terrified him. This single reading shattered the comforting myth that reincarnation guarantees progress. The reality? Countless souls are running in circles, never moving beyond their starting point. To explain this, Cayce turned to the Akashic records, the vast archive of every soul's journey. He described it like a towering structure, 7 vast levels of awareness stacked one upon another. At the bottom, souls chained by desire, fear, and self, prisoners of their own ego. He even spoke of souls who have been trapped here since Atlantis, over 12,000 years ago. Ordinary people, not villains, just men and women who clung to comfort instead of growth, fear instead of love. Here's the haunting part. These souls don't even know they're stuck. They think they're evolving, living life after life, but in truth they're like spiritual sleepwalkers, repeating patterns across centuries. But Cayce did not leave us hopeless. In 1944, a year before his death, a woman asked him the ultimate question: how can I know which realm I'm in? Cayce's reply was so profound it's been studied for 8 decades. He said we are constantly shown signs, through dreams, flashes of intuition, uncanny coincidences, and what he called soul promptings. But most of us are too distracted by daily noise to hear them. And then he gave a practical method, a 5-minute test you can try right now. He called it the consciousness mirror technique. Here's how it works. Pay attention to the people who trigger you. The stronger your negative reaction, anger, jealousy, judgment, the lower your frequency. If you can see them with compassion, you're already climbing. But if you can look at them and feel genuine love for their journey as a soul, you've touched what Cayce named the Christ consciousness, the highest plane reachable while in a body. This was Cayce's secret compass. With it, he could instantly tell who was ready for advanced teaching and who was still caught in the first lessons of consciousness. And then came his most extraordinary revelation. In 1936, a woman claimed she had lived in Atlantis. Skeptics expected Cayce to dismiss her. Instead, he confirmed it and revealed something staggering. He said that many Atlantean souls, who once wielded spiritual knowledge beyond anything we can imagine, would return in the modern age. Between 1900 and 2000, thousands of them would incarnate, carrying fragments of their higher consciousness into our world. Their mission? To help humanity make a quantum leap in evolution. That means some of the people alive today, maybe even watching this video, are operating at levels thousands of years ahead of the average human. They are not here by accident. They came with a purpose: to anchor light, to raise frequency, to lead the collective out of the lowest realm. But here's the revelation that stunned even Cayce's closest followers. No matter where your soul stands right now, whether at the lowest rung of material consciousness or hovering at the edge of Christ awareness, you can dramatically accelerate your spiritual evolution in this very lifetime. Cayce called this path the universal laws of spiritual development, and in one of his most comprehensive readings, he outlined 5 practices that can move a soul from the very bottom of existence to the highest plane in a single incarnation. Not through rituals, not through secret ceremonies, but through choices so practical, so immediate, that you can begin applying them the moment you finish this video. The first law Cayce revealed is what he named service above self. At first glance, this sounds like charity, volunteering, or generosity. But Cayce's meaning cut much deeper. He explained that every single choice you make, the food you put on your plate, the way you answer criticism, even the thoughts you hold in silence, falls into one of 2 categories. Does this serve my ego, or does this serve my soul's growth? Lower realm souls consistently choose self-gratification, comfort, and appearances. Higher realm souls make the harder choice, the one that elevates not just themselves, but the whole consciousness field around them. And here's where Cayce gave his most piercing warning for modern times. He said the greatest obstacle to spiritual progress in the 20th and 21st centuries would not be war, poverty, or suffering. It would be the illusion that material success equals spiritual advancement. He saw it again and again in his readings. Souls who had been radiant, spiritually awake peasants in a past life returning as wealthy elites in a new incarnation, only to find themselves more spiritually stunted than before. Money, he said, is not evil, but how you relate to it reveals your spiritual level. If your wealth expands your soul's mission, if it uplifts others, it raises your frequency. If it feeds your ego and separates you from others, it becomes a chain pulling you downward. The second universal law Cayce taught may be even more shocking. Thought as creative force. According to Cayce, every thought we generate is not just private. It's an act of creation, shaping the exact spiritual realm our soul inhabits. He described thought as an energetic brushstroke on the canvas of your destiny. But here's the part that overturns what most modern teachers say. Positive thinking is not enough. In fact, Cayce discovered that many souls got trapped by using positivity as an escape, covering up their shadow, denying their pain, pretending away their flaws. He called this state spiritual limbo. True growth requires what he named purification through truth. This means looking directly at your darkness, admitting your flaws, embracing your humanness, and loving yourself anyway. Only in that raw honesty can the soul open the gates to higher realms. The third law Cayce revealed is healing as service. But he did not mean doctors and medicine alone. He meant that every time you heal a wound within yourself, you simultaneously heal that wound in the collective. Consciousness is not isolated. It is one field. When you overcome your fear, you weaken fear for all humanity. When you forgive your anger, you lift anger from countless unseen lives. When you dissolve your shame, you help free entire generations from that same chain. Cayce said this is why personal spiritual work is never selfish. Your healing is humanity's healing. Each time you choose love over fear, truth over illusion, you are pulling the entire human race closer to the higher realms. And then Cayce revealed something that changed everything. The single greatest factor in determining a soul's realm is not knowledge, not meditation, not good deeds. It is forgiveness. But not the surface-level forgiveness most of us practice, the kind where you release someone with gritted teeth or declare yourself the bigger person. Cayce spoke of Christ-like forgiveness, the radical, soul-shattering kind that releases every shred of resentment, that dissolves the illusion of separation, that sees others as souls doing their best at their current level of awareness. He warned that true forgiveness is so rare, he encountered it in less than 1% of all souls he ever read. Let me share one of his most documented cases. In 1938, a woman came to him broken. Her husband had abandoned her and their 3 children for his secretary. She burned with rage and demanded to know if he would be punished in his next incarnation. Cayce's answer stunned everyone. He told her that her husband's betrayal was actually serving her evolution. She could either choose the prison of victimhood or step into the mastery of forgiveness. If she could release him completely, not because he deserved it, but because her soul deserved freedom, she would leap multiple realms in a single lifetime. She worked with Cayce's guidance for 2 years, and when she finally achieved true forgiveness, something miraculous happened. Follow-up readings revealed her soul had jumped from the second realm all the way to the fifth, a leap that usually takes lifetimes. But here's the mind-bending part. 3 months later, her estranged husband reached out. He confessed he had experienced a sudden spiritual awakening and wanted to make amends. He had no idea about her work of forgiveness, yet her shift had rippled through the field, triggering his own evolution. This is what Cayce meant when he said, "Healing yourself heals others." Consciousness transcends time and space. When you evolve, you lift everyone bound to you, across lifetimes. And finally, Cayce revealed the fifth universal law, one so radical it could change how you view life itself. He said, "Death is not an ending. Death is a transition of consciousness." Most people believe death happens to them, a force from outside, striking suddenly. But Cayce described death as a conscious crossing, shaped entirely by the state of awareness you hold at the moment you leave your body. He explained that the soul does not drift aimlessly into some random afterlife. Instead, it is magnetized to the spiritual realm that matches its frequency. In other words, the death you experience is already being written by the life you live now. And here's the most empowering part. If you master the 4 previous laws, service, thought, healing, and forgiveness, then when your final moment comes, you will not collapse into fear or confusion. You will step consciously into the realm your soul has earned, carrying clarity, peace, and freedom into eternity. Cayce's readings reveal something breathtaking. Death is not an accident that happens to you. Death is an event you participate in, shaped entirely by the level of consciousness you've cultivated. In one of his most illuminating afterlife readings, Cayce explained that souls with higher awareness can actually choose their death experience. They can remain fully conscious during the crossing, keep their memory intact, and even guide the trajectory of their next incarnation. But for souls bound to the lower realms, death is chaos. They stumble into it as trauma, confusion, and darkness. Many don't even realize they've died. They linger in what Cayce called earthbound states, trapped between dimensions, still clinging to the physical world because their consciousness is too dense to rise higher. Some remain stuck there for decades. And this is why Cayce insisted, spiritual development is not just about improving this life. It is preparation for a conscious death and an intentional rebirth. Every choice you make now is an investment in your eternal journey. The fifth and final universal law Cayce revealed is perhaps the most staggering of all. Time itself is an illusion. In his trance visions, he described a state he called eternal now consciousness, where past, present, and future unfold simultaneously. To the human mind this sounds impossible, but Cayce insisted that higher realm souls can step into this timeless awareness. And here's why this matters. When you access the eternal now, you are no longer enslaved by yesterday's regrets or tomorrow's fears. You become anchored fully in the present moment, the only place where true creative power exists. Cayce himself demonstrated this again and again. He could look into the Akashic records, draw information from the distant past, glimpse probable futures, and even communicate with souls who had never taken human form. He wasn't born with this gift. He developed it by living the very laws he was teaching. And then Cayce revealed the most transformative truth of all. The ultimate purpose of incarnation on Earth is not to escape humanity. It is to evolve humanity itself. He said we are here not to float away into the heavens, but to bring heaven into earth, to anchor divine consciousness in physical form. Every soul that reaches higher awareness while in a body creates a ripple effect, making it easier for others to follow. Together, we are literally building a new template for human potential. In 1943, Cayce foresaw that by the year 2012, a tipping point would occur. Enough souls would awaken that humanity as a whole would begin vibrating at elevated frequencies. He predicted children born after this threshold would naturally carry higher consciousness, psychic sensitivity, inner wisdom, and an instinctive sense of soul purpose. Look around today. The younger generations are not satisfied with the empty materialism of the past. They hunger for authenticity, for connection, for healing the earth, for living in alignment with their souls. In their eyes, Cayce's prophecy is unfolding right before us. But here's the most liberating revelation of all. Your consciousness is not fixed. Every single moment you are handed a choice, to remain in the realm you're in, or to step upward into the next. The real question isn't, where am I right now? The question is, which realm do I want to enter next, and what am I willing to do to get there? And Cayce gave us a practice so simple, so practical, it could accelerate your evolution in months instead of lifetimes. Each night before sleep, ask your soul, show me one way I can serve love more completely tomorrow. Then watch. The opportunities will appear, and every time you act on them, you are aligning your consciousness with the universal current of evolution. Remember, spiritual evolution is not about perfection. It is not about escaping your humanity. It is about becoming more authentically yourself, the divine spark beneath all conditioning and fear. Your soul chose to incarnate in this very moment of history because you carry something essential for humanity's leap forward. The realm you are destined for is not chained to your past mistakes. It is carved by your willingness to keep choosing love, service, and truth in each breath. Cayce's 14,000 readings all echo one profound message. You are not a human being having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. And right now, through your choices, you are writing the story of eternity. So here is your challenge. Take the consciousness mirror test. Notice your reactions. They are your compass. Practice forgiveness, not to free others, but to free yourself. Serve, not to earn spiritual points, but because service is the natural language of the soul. And above all, remember this. When you evolve, we all evolve. When you heal, we all heal. When you choose love, you make it easier for every other soul to do the same. Before we close, I want you to pause and reflect. Everything you've just heard isn't theory. It's a direct invitation to your soul. Your spiritual journey is not random, and it's not accidental. You were meant to hear this today. Now, if this message resonated with you, do 3 things right now. Subscribe to Inner Fire Wisdom so you never miss the teachings that can elevate your life. Like this video, so more seekers like you can find it. And share it with someone you know is ready for their next step. Your one action could be the spark that awakens another soul. I'd love to hear from you too. Drop a comment below with the single biggest insight you're taking away from today's teaching. I read every comment, and your words often become the inspiration for future videos. And as we close, I'll leave you with this timeless reminder from Edgar Cayce himself. Mind is the builder. What you dwell upon, you become. So choose wisely. Choose love. Choose truth. Choose service. With deep respect and gratitude, this is Inner Fire Wisdom, thanking you for walking this path with me. Until we meet again, keep your inner fire burning, keep seeking higher consciousness, and remember, your evolution is humanity's evolution.